This brings me to the High Line. High Line is a project that we just completed. It's not exactly on the water, but it's close to the water. You can see the water, so I'm including it in this talk. It has a water feature, so that's true too. So the High Line was an old industrial train line that was used for freight trains for food delivery to all of Manhattan. It was built in 1934, and it was lost most of its use by the 60s, 70s, and then the last freight train went down in 1982. And so it had been abandoned in the city since 1982, a sort of industrial relic floating above Manhattan's west side. So it goes for a mile and a half down. That's the meatpacking district. I don't know. You probably know generally what this is, but this is sort of north of downtown, just north of downtown, and it stretches essentially from there to just south of Midtown on the west side, sort of paralleling the Hudson and cutting through some of New York's most up and coming neighborhoods, including the Gallery District of Chelsea and the Stiletto District of meatpacking, where most of the clubs and bars are now. For years, this abandoned, dangerous, lead paint-coated artifact was considered an eyesore, and by many new urbanists, it was thought to be the thing that was keeping the west side of Manhattan down. That nobody would develop there. Property prices were low. It was severing the waterfront from the more lucrative parts of Manhattan. Those of us who had been up there years ago, when it was off limits, you could break in and go do whatever you would want to do up there. It's a wonderful experience and a really unusual, unbelievable, surreal way to see New York City. So, two civilians who founded the Friends of the High Line hired Joel Sternfeld, who's a photographer, New York-based photographer, to go up and photograph the High Line. And this is one of his shots. You can see how incredible it is. And this is what it had become from 1982 until 2001. All of these plants had started growing in there, almost all indigenous to the region. This was its own local sort of ecology. It was really incredible. I wish the screen was more crisp because that image is better over there. Anyway, it was this fine-grained, beautiful sort of natural landscape. And this might as well have been me and a lot of my friends, that we would find ways to get out there. And you can imagine the middle of Manhattan sort of being in this private wonderland, floating 30 feet off the ground. Eventually, with the help of Joel Sternfeld's, I know you like that here too, but with the help of Joel Sternfeld's photographs, we've convinced the city of New York to save the High Line structure. They bought in to agree to let the Parks Department run a new park to be made up here, but it would be designed and built by this nonprofit private organization, Friends of the High Line, who had a competition. It was a fairly prestigious deal. Stephen Hall, Zaha Hadid, and Michael von Valkenburg were the other finalists, and us, along with Field Operations in New York, Jim Corner. And so some of the things that went into our thinking, and probably why we won the competition, is we didn't want to have a stitch of commercial anything up there, especially a Starbucks. We wanted to make this another park, a different park, and other people's park, a park that works at night, a park that sort of allows for, other kinds of behaviors that are more urban in nature.